Hello students. Today we will talk about motion. Our lesson today is about motion. Firstly, we must know what's meant by the motion. What's meant by the motion? Motion is the changing of the object position relative to another fixed object as time passes. As time passes. Motion means the changing in the object position relative to another static or fixed object as time passes. As we know, as we studied before, the motion has two types. Number one, translational motion. The first type of motion is a translational motion. The second type is a periodic motion. What's meant by the translational motion? Translational motion, it is a motion which have a starting point and ending point. The motion which have a starting point and ending point, like the car motion. Because car motion has a starting point like point A and ending point like point B. Car transfer, car it change its position from point A as a starting point to point B as an ending point. Then car motion is a translational motion. Car motion is the motion in a straight line. Motion in a straight line, and this motion it is the simplest or the easier form of motion. Second example is projectile motion. It is a translational motion or mean the body transfer or it change its position from point A to point B but through the curved line, or it's a motion in two directions. The projectile motion is the motion in two directions. Like the cannon, like the projectile motion of the cannon. What about the periodic motion? Periodic motion, it is a motion which has no starting point and ending point. Periodic motion has no starting point and ending point, but it repeats its motion in equal periods of time. Motion which repeated in equal periods of time. The body repeat the motion in equal periods of time. Periodic motion have three types of motion. Firstly, vibrational motion. Second type is circular motion. Third type is a wave motion. Vibrational motion like the motion of the pendulum. The motion of the pendulum mean the body or the vibrational object it change its position in vibrational motion like the simple pendulum which vibrate around the rest point or around the equilibrium position. The body vibrates around the rest point or around the equilibrium position, and the body repeats its motion in equal periods of time and haven't a starting point and the ending point. Circular motion, like the motion of the 8 planets around the sun, like the motion of 8 planets around the sun. It is a circular motion. Motion of the Earth planet around the Sun haven't any starting point or ending point, but it repeats its motion in equal periods of time or repeats its motion in equal time interval. First type, wave motion. Wave motion like water wave. Water wave. Water wave. Water wave haven't any starting point and ending point, but it repeats its motion in equal period of time. To study the motion, we must study some concepts. The first concept we talk about is velocity. Velocity. What's meant by the velocity? Velocity of the body, velocity of the object mean the rate of a change of displacement per time. The rate of a change of displacement per time. The rate of change of displacement. This is the define of the velocity. Now we will change the define into relation. Relation, we write the relation of the velocity as velocity equal displacement over time. And now we will change the relation of the velocity to rule or to physical equation or mass equation. In the physical equation, we write the physical quantity by its symbol. Velocity symbol is V equal displacement D over time T. What is the measuring unit of the velocity? Measuring unit of the velocity is the measuring unit of displacement, which is meter or kilometer, divided by the measuring unit of the time, which is seconds or hours. Then the measuring unit of the velocity is meter per second or kilometer per hour. What is the difference between speed and velocity? What is the difference between speed and velocity? Speed, it is the distance over time. Distance over time, and the speed is the scalar physical quantity. Scalar physical quantity. But the velocity, it is a vector physical quantity. Vector y, because it's fully defined by magnitude and direction. That means speed need magnitude only. Speed is a scalar physical quantity. Then it needs only magnitude. Magnitude mean value and the measuring unit, as we will said V speed equal 10 meter per second. This is a full answer of speed. What about velocity? Velocity is vector physical quantity. Mean it needs magnitude and direction. It needs magnitude and direction. Like if we're talking about the velocity equal 100 meter per second, this is a half answer, not a full answer. Why? Because you doesn't set the direction of the velocity. We must set in the positive direction or a negative direction or to the north direction or south and whatever. We will talk about the types of velocity. Velocity has two types. Number one, uniform velocity or regular velocity. Number two, non-uniform velocity or irregular velocity. Firstly, if the moving body covers in the first second distance 10 meters, and in the second 20 meters, and in the third second 30 meters, in the fourth second 40 meters, and in the fifth second 50 meters. What about this object, or what about the type of the motion of this object? Now we need to represent this relation in the graphical relation. Firstly, we will draw the two axes, x-axis and y-axis. We know in the x-axis we put the independent variable. Yes, which one of displacement over time is the independent variable? Yes, excellent. The time is independent variable. What about the dependent variable? Yes, the dependent variable is displacement. Then we put time on x-axis and write the measuring unit behind it, and the displacement on the y-axis and write its unit behind it, and divided the scale. The highest value in the time axis is 5. Then we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The highest value in the value of displacement is 50. Then we can't put from 1 to 50 on the displacement axis or the y-axis. It's very large number. Then we put or divided the scale by 10 degree. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Then let's draw the graph. When the time is 1 second, the covered displacement is 10. When the body covered, when the time is 2 seconds, the body covered 20 meters. When the time is 3 seconds, the body covered 30 meters. And 4 seconds, the body covered 40 meters. And 5 seconds, the body covered 50 meters. You can match or join this point. We will have a straight line passing by the origin or passing by the 0 point. Then this drawing represents the uniform velocity. Then the displacement time graph represents the uniform velocity. Why it represents the uniform velocity? Because the body covered equal distance in equal periods of time. The body covered equal distance in equal periods of time. To calculate the velocity, we must calculate the slope. The slope is the difference between or the change in the physical quantity on the y-axis. The y-axis we have displacement, yes, d2 minus d1, divided the change in the physical quantity which put on the x-axis. Yes, we have time on x-axis, t2 minus t1. The slope means the velocity. The slope in displacement time graph represents the velocity. If we calculate v1, it will be 10 meters per second. v2, it will be 20 meters per second. 10 meters per second. v3 will be 10 meters per second, and v4 10 meters per second. Then we have constant value of velocity because this type of velocity is uniform or regular. we were talking about the non-uniform velocity.